All right, so we're back with the price tag of leadership part two. This is going to be a very unique uh, section of this series just because there's going to be many moving parts. And we're going to be moving into actually next week is going to be a continuation of this actual segment. So part 2 and 3 are going to be kind of like hand in glove. So without further ado, Joseph Ganchar with Ganchar Enterprise. And whenever you're starting with discipline, you're going to be feeling frustrated, like you're seeing right here, and you'll be like, okay, I can't believe this. You got to recognize a few things, but don't get overwhelmed. The first thing you got to do is very simple. Start small. Start small, and then that way you're going to be able to achieve small wins. Small wins are the key to longevity of success. You're like, well, why? Because if you're overwhelming yourself, like if you're going to run a marathon overnight, you're probably not going to be able to walk for a decent amount of time. But if you work yourself into segments or into intervals of time frames and distances, then next thing you know, after starting small over a period of time, you're going to be doing great. So the future is shaped by your present action. So what does this mean? Well, if you look at where you're at as far as right now, the decisions where you made yesterday have gotten you to where you are today. So that's why your future is shaped by your present actions, because now what you do today is setting yourself up for tomorrow. Like, well, I'll never see tomorrow. You're right. However, you create the life that you live. It's just that simple. So what are you becoming tomorrow is directly influenced by the choices and habits you build today. Every action you take now is a step toward the person you will be, regardless if you want to accept it or not. You are going to be somebody. You are somebody, and you decide how that somebody is going to live, whether it's going to be in your current situation, circumstances, and the way how you're doing things, or are you going to be able to achieve certain things and do certain things differently so that you're able to continuously progress and move forward and grow and develop in maybe other areas of your life. So start small to grow strong. You're like, how is this making any sense? Because it all depends on the foundation. If you're able to put a very, very intricate, very well laid out foundation, it's going to be much stronger than just say like one rock. So you got one impact, the rock breaks in half. You're like, okay, that's awesome. Like, I did not expect that. Well, kind of, sort of, you did. But if you have like crushed rock, and if you have something that's actually able to kind of like tamper it down and level it all, and something impacts it, that foundation essentially is not really going to move that much. Okay, I've seen this on in recent years. My foundation was rocked very extensively, very heavily, and I was just overwhelmed. And why? Because that's the storms that were coming my way, and I had to deal with them. So there was no other way except for just weather the storm and stick it out. And it was quite a wild ride. However, self-discipline doesn't require massive change overnight. Begin with small, consistent habits today. These lay the foundation for a greater discipline and success in the future. So here's the thing. If you want to just stay, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start flossing my teeth. I'm not going to floss my teeth every day starting today moving forward. No. What happens is, and believe it or not, my uncle taught me this. He's like, okay, if you're going to do something, just floss one tooth and then put it away. Because what happens is over the course of time, and it's going to be like, okay, you're going to like kind of like vibrate inside in the sense of like you want to do more, but you got to hold yourself back. But what you're doing is you're intentionally making sure that you are self-motivated to do what you need to do tomorrow, and that's floss another tooth. So you just floss one tooth, and then eventually what'll happen is that it'll be so consistent that you're just going to be flossing all your teeth every morning. It might take you, I don't know, some people it takes a week, others it takes 6 months. Regardless of the matter, I guarantee you, if you just start small and just be consistent, those habits that you start today will continue to develop and grow and mature over the consistency of whatever period of time it's going to take. And that'll give you a greater discipline and success in the future. So daily discipline leads to long-term mastery. How does this actually happen? Well, see, regardless if we're going to accept it or not, the clock is ticking. You cannot stop the clock of life. It's just, that's the way how it's going to go. So when you're looking at the daily disciplines to leading long-term mastery, building self-discipline is a gradual process. So again, start really small. If you're like, hey, I'm going to just continue. Let's say your house is a mess, or there's an area of your life where you're like, I just don't want to deal with it. Just do a small snippet of it, and then just kind of like, because you're better off to have small, consistent steps in that direction. So you're actually developing control and consistency in the very smallest ways. Okay. So there's times when I was like, I just don't really have the ambition or have the motivation to do certain things. Okay. However, if you just consistently push through because of the process that you're actually developing in very small, intricate steps, what happens is in very small ways today, it prepares you to handle bigger challenges with confidence and strength tomorrow or the next week or the next month. Because what happens is you have a foundation. And it took me several years to come from where I once was mentally and having an outlook in life versus now. Okay. Much different, much more effective, productive, efficient, and the results are quite astounding, to be honest. So when you're doing these small things, okay, it's like getting better 1% every day. Well, over a year, you're over 300% more effective or productive in an area of potential weakness because you just spent a small snippet of time every single day. So again, planning, you're going to start a starting point for planning a big difference. And you're like, well, how is this going to actually happen? Like, what are you talking about the starting point? Well, everything has to begin and end somewhere. It's just inevitable. But a big difference, what does this look like? Well, list 5 areas that you can actually identify that you can confidently say to yourself, you know what? Maybe these areas I'm not exactly finding the results that are in those areas of my life. And these 5 areas are exactly what I want. Those are the areas where you want to start because they're not blind spots. You actually can acknowledge them. You actually see them, and you can actually understand what is actually coming over the course of a long period of time, the results that are driven in these areas. And they're going down. They're not going up, okay? So you have to sort these out in order from where do I need to actually achieve some type of a result like right now versus, okay, that doesn't really make any sense. So prime example would be like, where can I exactly go to achieve greatness in pre-planning my week? What does that look like? It might be like every Sunday, could be morning, afternoon, evening, and then you lay out your weekly plan. Sometimes you have to do it, first day of the month, and you're going to plan the rest of your month out. Boom. Okay. So that's how that works. But you want to go in a place where you know that you need to win and you know that the results are going to be very impactful in that sense. So only work on each one at a time. So do not overthink this and go into a process where you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to take one area and then I'm going to start on this other area. And if you do 2 areas at once, it's not going to happen. You're actually going to be in a position or a process where you're actually double ending yourself and then you're colliding and it's just not going to work. You have to identify key areas of growth. What does this mean? Knowing that you have certain areas of success, you have to be able to reward yourself. So understand, okay, well, I was over here and I wasn't exactly getting the results that I wanted. So, for an example, for quite some time, I was like, oh man, I need to realistically reorganize, a space on my property. I was like, oh, great. Okay, here we go. And then I want to try and, sell a few things. So then what does that mean? Go through it, clean it all up, package it all together, make sure that it's all ready to go and easily accessible. And then off it goes. Okay. So that's an example of identifying a key area of growth. So the next is, before taking action, clarify specific areas in your life or goals that you want to improve in or even conquer. So in order for you to actually understand specific areas in your life, you have to know where these things are. So understanding before the key areas that you're saying I'm lacking, but now you got to be able to actually take action and clarify these areas in your life where you're like, okay, so this is where I'm at. I need to do this and to get that result. So it could be, changing your place of employment in order for you to be able to be more active. Or it could be as a matter of simple as, I need to get outside more, so I'm going to readjust the way how I do things throughout my day so that I'm able to be outside. Maybe I can't handle the heat in the morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I go and do some early morning exercises outside. And then I'm going to take care of the rest of my daily tasks in the afternoon when it's really hot, and I'll be inside then. Those are certain things that you can actually assess and figure out, because you have to understand the strengths of your day and the weaknesses of your day. And that's going to also help you to conquer certain things in your life with optimal results. So starting in this type of sequence, it's going to take a bit of time. And the reason why is because when you're continuing on this journey, you're always going to be looking at it and saying, okay, this is quite an adventure, but you have to be able to gather the right resources. You cannot be out in the middle of nowhere like these group of gentlemen and think that you're just going to be going off and having a great time. And then all of a sudden, what's happening is, well, I think I'm going to just go down this path. Oh, I think I'm just going to go down that path. No, what's going to happen is you have to collaborate. You have to reward yourself. Okay? Gather those resources, collaborate, and reward yourself. You're like, well, what do you mean? So you got to secure high quality tools such as books, audio programs, or videos that provide both instruction and inspiration tailored to each area of your life that you want to improve on. So what does this mean? Well, it's very simple in the sense of, if you need to get more organized in, say, what your house looks like, concentrate on books and maybe programs that actually help you see things in more of a creative and understanding how that looks like. Or maybe it looks like, how do I become more structured in my day to day? So then you would go again, utilizing one or more of these different facets of information and leveraging them so that you have a better idea as far as how to execute them. You have to fuel your progress with motivation. You got to reward yourself. It's just, that's the nature of it. You got to be able to motivate yourself through small rewards. Don't go carrying away about it, but just make sure that when you're going about these things, you have the right motivation. You're doing it for the right reasons as well. Okay, so consistently engage with these resources and stay motivated, informed, and empowered as you work toward mastery in each domain. Understanding that each area has its own boundaried, structured area, and that you're able to actually fully execute these things in such a way where you know that you're going to be maybe just, again, I'm just going to floss one tooth and then I'm putting it back down. And it might take you a couple months, but then you'll be flossing your teeth every day. See, and that's how you continuously motivate yourself and continue to see progression. And then all of a sudden you're saying, wow, like I have this area very dialed in very effectively and productively and efficiently. And now I'm able to do things that I didn't really imagine that were possible. And that's, up to this point, a series of steps on how to execute things a certain way. Next week, we're actually going to be continuing on this, okay, and moving forward in this because we're actually not quite even halfway through this segment, okay? So until next week, the Price Tag of Leadership Part 3 will be back at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, work hard and stay humble.